Earlier this month, we heard that Jaron Boots Ennis signed with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. And I was pretty excited about it. Still, I'm really looking forward to it, right? For the simple fact that I believe that Eddie Hearn is going to push Boots. Man, I believe he's going to push him promotionally. I believe he's going to push him matchmaking-wise. I think he's really going to try to make him undisputed at 147 pounds if he can, but at the very least, he's going to try to make the biggest possible matchups, right? And the reason for that is simple. It's his time, man. It's his time. I mean, the dude is incredibly talented. You put him at any point in time, he's a guy who I think is going to be able to compete at the world-class level. He's going to be able to compete amongst the best in the division. And depending who's there at any random time period, maybe he's the man, maybe he's just underneath the man and competing with everybody else, whatever the case may be. But the dude is ultra talented, and he's coming into his prime right now, and he's ready, right? And I was listening to Shawn Porter talk the other day, and he made an interesting point. And he said, talking about himself, he said, when I was in the division, we were like riding this huge wave, right? And you think about the talent that was in there then. You had a prime Errol Spence, you had a prime Terrence Crawford, you had a prime Shawn Porter and Keith Thurman and a host of other people, right? So there was just all kinds of fireworks happening at 147 pounds. Prior to them, you had the massive wave with Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao in there. They were coming right off of guys like Oscar De La Hoya, and Miguel Cotto was there, and just all kinds of big name guys. But right now, today, when you think about Boots and he's entering his prime, man, and he wants all the smoke and he wants to get out there, 147 pounds, historically great division. The guys that we're talking about, the Errol Spence, the Terrence Crawford, they're moving up to 154 pounds. The Shawn Porter, retired. Right? We're not Keith Thurman. Where is he? I mean, other than hearing about a fight that he just pulled out of, what are we hearing about Keith Thurman, man? Right? So when you think about all this stuff, Boots, in one sense, poor timing, right? Not on his fault. It's got absolutely nothing to do with it, man. It's one of those things like you just randomly draw the card at any point in time, right? A historical period. And when he enters, there's just not the huge names that he would like to be. There's just not the big names that he would like. And the guys, obviously, who were just leaving got no interest in fighting just a young, hungry, lion-like dude who's got absolutely no money to bring to the table. So lo and behold, Eddie Hearn snatches him up, man. Awesome buy. You look at it, and he signs him earlier this month, and doesn't take too long. All of a sudden, we hear about Eddie Hearn winning this purse bid, and we're going to see him versus Cody Crowley. The majority of people have probably never heard about Cody Crowley because when you're thinking about 147 pounds, we are talking about other names. However, you watch the film on him, the guy can fight. He's a good, solid fighter. I mean, I don't know. I think he's early 30s at this point, 31, maybe 32 years old. He's got some technical flaws, not the greatest in the world. I think he gets his hands back to a good defensive position a little bit slowly. He seems to be open for a lot of body shots. We saw Josecito Lopez and Abel Ramos able to work him good to the body. We saw Abel Ramos stun him twice, drop him with a straight right hand. He's decent when he's coming forward, working behind that jab, when it's straight left, when he's on his front foot. But he can shell up a little bit at times. He can square up a little bit at times when he's got his opponent on the ropes. He can square up when he allows himself to be backed up on the ropes. I mean, even against a guy like Josecito Lopez, who we've seen in there with a host of guys over the years. He's catching him when he's older, at the back end of his career, when he's an inactive fighter. And there were still times when Crowley really couldn't dominate and control the fight as much as you would have liked from a younger guy at that point in his career. And then on top of all that, right, just to sprinkle a little bit on top of the whole plate, we've got the fact that the dude's a part-time fighter. And if you watch this channel, if you listen to what I say, you understand how I feel about part-time fighters, man. They are not going to compete at the world-class level. Look at how many times this dude has fought in the last 5 years. Right, we're talking a fight a year. That's what he's averaging, 4 years of his career. And now he's supposed to step in there against a guy like Boots. Come on, man. Hometown fight in Philadelphia. Never going to happen. He's not going to win this fight. He doesn't have the power. Even if you wanted to look and say, he's not the better fighter. He's not physically more explosive. He's not faster. He's not more agile. He's not more athletic. One of the things I love about Boots is fight like an athlete, right? Very athletic guy, and the things that he goes out there and does. So he's got all the motivation of just getting this new signing and wanting to make the wave. On top of all that, at which point Crowley is at the negative or the deficit or the B side in all of those categories, right? Worse off in all of those categories. On top of that, he doesn't have the power. He doesn't have the power to go in there and all of a sudden just, strike lightning in the bottle, catch a shot like we saw Ryan Garcia just catch Devin Haney earlier with this nasty left hook and hurt him. He doesn't have that power. Look at his knockout ratio, right? He's not going to be able to do that, right? So when you put all that together, highly unlikely that he's going to come out victorious in this fight. Now, all that being said, think about the fact that Eddie Hearn is going to try to make this fight in Philadelphia. It's one of the other things that I like, because I was listening to an interview with Eddie Hearn earlier. He was talking about the way in which American promoters promote their fighters. And he was talking about the difference that he does it over in the UK. And he's like, one of the things that I was learning or realizing when I came over here, I was in Alabama doing some kind of event or some meeting or whatever the case may be, and I caught a random person in the hotel and I was asking him about Deontay Wilder. You know, at the time, Deontay Wilder was absolutely massive. And I was like, have you ever heard of Deontay Wilder? The guy said, yes. He said, okay, great. He said, how big is he in Alabama? He said, yeah, the guy's really big, blah, 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 this and that in Alabama. But he said he didn't feel that way about him as far as the rest of the country. He wasn't selling enough. Eddie Hearn is looking at the pay-per-views that Deontay Wilder's doing, and he's not understanding. He's like, look, this guy with the crazy knockouts, and he was an Olympian, and he's doing these things. He should be promoted a little bit differently. Okay. One of the things that he said that he would do differently for promotions is he would build up guys locally. He said, wherever you're from, we do big fights there first. We build you there first. Not only does it build a huge base in your hometown, your home state, whatever the case may be, wherever you're from, we build it up there huge first. But when we show the fights on TV, the people on TV are just seeing a massive atmosphere for you, right? Because it's the hometown crowd, so they're just seeing the atmosphere that's just charged up. It's electric. We're putting you in these good matchups, so you're probably going to be out there winning, hopefully by devastating knockout, and all of it just tries to build. All of it just tries to build your mystique and your character and everything else into this guy that's going to end up being this massive pay-per-view star. It's like, okay, I get it. Right? Logically, business-wise, I understand it. Certainly not the first time that we've heard it. Really, truly, it's all going to be about the execution, right? It's not like it's some kind of new grand revolutionary plan. It's all going to be in how it's done, the guy that you're doing it with, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see, because now, after just hearing him say that, now all of a sudden we see, boom, Boots is getting his fight in Philadelphia, Wells Fargo Center. Is this going to be the beginning of like a huge Philadelphia run, a huge East Coast run? What are we going to see from Boots? Who's he going to be matched up against, man? Where are we going to see this whole thing go? I expect him to come out and just be on fire. You know, there's one of the things that we've heard from promoters in the past is they're worried about the hometown fights. They're worried about a guy getting complacent, the fight being too big. They're worried about his hometown being distracting for him. And we've seen some guys lay some eggs before, right? We've seen some guys, even though they may win the fight, they may not look as good as you would expect them to look, not look as good as they looked in past fights. I sure hope that isn't the case, right? Because there's going to be a tremendous amount of buildup going into this one. We've been waiting to see what Boots is going to do next. We've been waiting to see him back in the ring. Should be fire. So let me know what you guys think. Are you as excited as I am? How do you think his prospects are at 147? What do you think about the timing as far as relative to his competition? And what do you think about him signing with Eddie Hearn? And how quick is he going to be, right? Because when we look about other champions, if we're looking at other champions at 147, right? Terrence Crawford, we're talking about him August 3rd, moving up officially 154. That means there's going to be Mario Barrios, provided he wins his fight in June. He's on the undercard, I believe. Or maybe it's May. I can't remember at this point. But whatever, provided he wins his fight, he's the current interim champion. He gets bumped up. I think he's WBA. He becomes a full champion. And then we're talking about Stanionis at this point, who's an interim, will get bumped up as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that all goes down. Are those fights that can be made? Are those guys interested in fighting Boots if they're still holding on to the belt at those times? Let me know what you guys think.